2 seasons of Shark Tank India saw pitches from more than 300 Indian startups, and they had everything: innovative ideas, brilliant entrepreneurs, and a pinch of masala, a little bit of controversy. And we're still waiting for the numbers from season 2, but here's what we know from season 1. 143 startups pitched to the sharks, and 65 of them received commitments from those sharks. But according to Private Circle Research, only 27 of those deals have actually been completed. And that would put the completion rate at just 41.5%, but there's a twist, because Anupam Mittal made a LinkedIn post saying that Shark Tank Season 1 had a completion rate of actually 66.6%. Now, some of the startups featured on the show have seen incredible growth since their episodes aired, while others have actually failed to succeed in spite of the sharks' backing. And with Shark Tank India Season 3 right around the corner, I wanted to take a look at the previous 2 seasons to see where the startups that were featured on the show are today. And so without further ado, let's jump in and take a look at 10 of those companies, starting with Skippy Ice Pops. So while he was living in Australia, Ravi Kabra's sister came to visit him, and he noticed something interesting. She was packing local ice popsicles with her in her suitcase when she was going back to India, and that's when he realized that there was not one single ice popsicle brand in the entire country, and he decided that he was going to start the first. So Ravi moved back to India, specifically to Hyderabad, and launched Skippy Ice Pops with his wife Anuja Kabra in 2021. And so when he came on Shark Tank India's first season, Skippy was doing about 4 to 7 lakh rupees every single month in sales. He was basically selling nostalgia, and the sharks loved the idea. And in fact, Skippy became the first startup to get an all-shark deal, raising 1 crore rupees for 15% equity, and it was totally worth it. By May of 2022, just 5 months after the episode aired, their monthly sales had reached roughly 2 to 2.8 crore rupees. That's roughly 40x their pre-Shark Tank India sales numbers. And even Ashnir Grover admits that Skippy is probably the biggest success story from Shark Tank India's Season 1. All right, next up on this list, we'll move over to a Nasik-based EV startup called Revamp Moto. So Revamp Moto was founded by Jayesh Tope, Pritesh Mahajan, and Pushkaraj Salunke in 2020, and they're building electric bikes called the RM Mitra and the RM Buddy 25, which can be customized and used as miniature dukans. And we actually already covered this company in our top 10 Indian EV startups video, which you can check out up here if you're interested. So when this company came on Shark Tank India Season 1, they already had orders for 50,000 of their electric bikes worth 250 crore rupees. At the time though, these bikes were still in the prototype stage, which means that they were still a pre-revenue startup and needed money to start production of these EVs. Since then, the startup has launched the RM Buddy 25 that I mentioned earlier, and also they announced the production of their bikes in September of 2023, and they're expected to start delivering these bikes as early as November of 2023. That being said though, it remains to be seen whether or not Revamp Moto will be able to scale up next year and meet their target of selling 40,000 bikes, or like many manufacturing companies, will they face production delays. I'm wishing the folks over at Revamp Moto all the best of luck. But now let's move on to the next company on this list, Flatheads, a D2C footwear brand. Founded by Ganesh Balakrishnan and Utkarsh Biradar in 2019, Flatheads, which is a Bengaluru-based company, makes lightweight and eco-friendly casual footwear for Indian weather conditions. And little known fact, I actually sat down with Ganesh and Utkarsh all the way back in 2019 before they'd even unveiled or launched their footwear, and they told me about their plans. And so if you want to check that podcast out, you can check it out up here. It's a little piece of fun history. But anyways, in Shark Tank India Season 2, Ganesh appeared before the sharks without Utkarsh. And so it looks like Utkarsh had decided not to continue with the startup dream, whereas Ganesh had, and he was asking for 75 lakh rupees for 3% equity in the company. But despite selling sneakers worth 3.4 crore rupees in FY22, Flatheads was in deep losses because of their high marketing costs. In fact, Flatheads had already spent $1.7 million of their funding amount, and Ganesh was now financing Flatheads out of pocket. The company was basically on the verge of shutting down, which is why it's no surprise that most of the sharks weren't interested in funding Flatheads. However, everyone did love Ganesh's story and the fact that he had laid it bare in front of millions of people on national television, and Anupam Mittal even offered him a job until he got back on his feet, and Piyush Bansal, on the other hand, gave him an offer that he just couldn't accept. And so by the end of the episode, Ganesh hadn't gotten the deal that he wanted, but his pitch did hit a chord with Indian audiences, and and it went viral. 2 days after the pitch aired on television in December of 2022, Flathead's entire inventory was sold out. And then in July of 2023, Flatheads was acquired by another D2C fashion brand, Stitched, in an all-equity deal. And so through this acquisition, Flatheads was given a new lease on life. And now in November of 2023, they've actually relaunched Flatheads, and Ganesh is starting his journey from scratch. And so despite being down and out, it looks like Flatheads has managed to survive. All right, now let's move on to the next company in this list, a Kolkata-based D2C skincare brand called Oli Lifestyle. Founded by Aishwarya Biswas in 2017, Oli, which stands for As You Like It, has the unique distinction of being the first female-led startup from Kolkata to be funded by the Sharks. So when Aishwarya appeared on the first season of Shark Tank India, Oli's business was heavily dependent on her as the founder. She had been using her own personal social media to conduct masterclasses and live workshops to drive traffic over to Oli's website, which generated a majority of the company's revenue. And the company was performing okay. Oli was doing monthly sales of between 10 and 12 lakh rupees, but she needed help in marketing and scaling the business. And so Aishwarya managed to secure a deal with Namita Thapar, receiving 75 lakh rupees for 15% of her company, and it really paid off. Within a couple of months of the deal, Oli's monthly sales had increased by 3x, reaching 30 to 37 lakh rupees. All right, the next startup in this list is sort of like the Indian version of Reddit, a pseudo-anonymous social media platform called Hood. Founded by Abhishek Asthana, Deepak Kumar, and Jasveer Singh in 2021, Hood came into Shark Tank India's Season 2 asking for a 600 crore rupee valuation, which is one of the highest on Shark Tank India so far. One of the reasons for this was their rapid growth, as they had managed to get 500,000 users within 45 days of launch, and they were able to get high-profile angel investors like Vijay Shekhar Sharma, Kunal Shah, and Ritesh Agarwal on their cap table. But here's the thing. The Sharks actually weren't all that impressed by Hood's engagement, and so even though they had managed to onboard a bunch of users, those people weren't actually engaging on the platform in a way that justified the valuation of 600 crore rupees. And so Piyush Bansal and Aman Gupta did end up closing a deal, but at a much lower valuation, not 600 crore rupees, but rather at the same valuation as their previous round, 112 crore rupees. However, in June of 2022, it had been almost a year since that episode went live, and according to one of Hood's co-founders, Abhishek Asthana, the deal had actually not yet been closed. Also, talking about his Shark Tank India experience, Abhishek, who goes by Gabar on X, said that Shark Tank India is more focused on creating drama. All right, let's move on to the next startup in this list, a Bengaluru-based pharmacy platform called Pharmalama that was founded in 2020. So the people behind this company, Achintya Dayal, Arjun Raghunandan, and Deepesh Rajpal, want to replace your chaotic medicine box with their pre-sorted medicine pack. These packs come with crucial information like, for example, the name of the patient, dosages, and intake timing, and this is a simple yet perfect solution for elderly patients, 40% of whom are dependent on a caregiver to give them the right dose at the right time. And it wasn't surprising that Pharmalama was among the few startups that managed to secure an all-shark deal in Shark Tank India's Season 2. Things were going well for the company. They were even in talks with Flipkart to get acquired. Then though, in March of 2023, things took a turn because the South Chemists and Distributors Association issued a legal notice to Pharmalama and the Home Ministry saying that their operations were illegal and that they should be shut down. According to this notice, medicines supplied without the original packaging are considered adulterated under the Drugs and Cosmetics Act, which is exactly what Pharmalama does. They repackage medicines into their own medicine box. And apart from that, we really don't have any other additional information about how things are going for Pharmalama or whether or not this notice is going to impact their business going into the future, but we wish them the best. Now let's move on to the next startup in this list, a Pune-based alcoholic beverage brand called Moonshine Meadery. So back in 2014, Nitin Vishwas came across an article about London's first meadery in 500 years while he was on a flight. And mead, by many, is considered to be the world's oldest alcoholic beverage, and it's actually made from honey. And up until that flight, Nitin had no idea that this beverage even existed. But after trying it out and really liking the taste, he and a childhood friend, Rohan Rehani, decided to start making mead in their garage. By 2018, they had turned this hobby into a business by starting Moonshine Meadery, and according to them, moonshine is actually Asia's first meadery. Now, when they went on Shark Tank India's Season 1, they were only selling in Maharashtra and Goa, but they had done revenue of 3.5 crore rupees in 2020. And this was a pretty intense episode because the duo had actually managed to get an all-shark offer, but then they got it taken away from them when they countered the Sharks asking for a better deal. Since then, though, they've raised $2.7 million and expanded their presence to Karnataka, Rajasthan, and Gurugram, and their revenue has grown by 5x to reach 18 crore rupees in 2022. In fact, in a YouTube interview after Shark Tank India, the founders admitted that they were only really looking for awareness and publicity from Shark Tank India, and that's exactly what they got. All right, the next company I want to talk about here here is a Gurugram-based product innovation startup called Sid07 Designs. Founded by Siddharth Gupta in 2018, Sid07 Designs is kind of like a tinkering lab where he designs and builds innovative products, gets patents, and then licenses those products to other companies. Or at least that was the idea behind the company, but it actually never really happened. When Siddharth came on Shark Tank India Season 1, his company was barely selling products worth 1 lakh rupees per month. Also, his licensing plan hadn't really worked out, and so when he showed off his inventions to the sharks, they either called them rip-offs or uninventive. However, in spite of that, Piyush Bansal did offer Siddharth a deal. He wanted 75% of the company in exchange for 25 lakh, and then also he was going to add 25 lakh rupees in debt for the company too. However, one of the conditions of this deal was that Siddharth was going to have to focus on the products and problems given to him by Piyush. And surprisingly, even though Siddharth was seeking 47 lakh rupees for his company in exchange for 10% equity originally, he did take Piyush's deal. Today, Siddharth's LinkedIn says that he is a technical consultant at Lenskart, which definitely makes it seem like what Aman Gupta said about the deal, that Piyush was basically offering Siddharth a job, was true. However, this story does have one more twist, because Siddharth actually went on a podcast and said that the handshake deal on Shark Tank India has since been changed, and while he didn't share the details of what that looks like, he did say that he still owns Sid07 Designs and is still working with Piyush to figure out the next steps for the company. Alright, next up, we have a Panipat-based D2C consumer electronics brand called Hammer Lifestyle. Founded by Rohit Nandwani in 2019, Hammer Lifestyle actually has a lot of similarities with Boat Lifestyle, right from their names, of course, to the products that they sell. And so, when Rohit went on Shark Tank India Season 1 to pitch his startup, Aman Gupta, being a shark, decided to acquire Hammer Lifestyle for 1 crore rupees. And his intentions were clear. He wanted to take Hammer Lifestyle out as a source of competition, and he wanted Rohit to focus Hammer on a different category that didn't compete with Boat, like, for example, electric toothbrushes. But here's the thing. By this point, Hammer had already done revenue worth 5 crore rupees in FY21, and so there was a lot of back and forth. But eventually, Rohit did agree to sell 40% of the company to Aman Gupta for 1 crore rupees. And every other shark on the show thought Rohit was being naive and an underconfident founder who wasn't brave enough to compete against Aman's Boat. But as it turns out, that wasn't the case, because Rohit actually ended up backing out of the deal after the show aired, and Hammer, well, they actually ended up bringing in revenue worth 1 crore rupees in a single day after Shark Tank India aired. Hammer ended FY23 with 30 crore rupees in revenue, which is 6x their pre-Shark Tank India revenue. But did Rohit actually plan this as a marketing stunt and he never actually wanted the deal, or did he accept the deal in the show but then cancel afterwards? I guess we'll never know. But anyways, let's move on to the last startup in this list, Mumbai-based edtech platform Online Live Learning. So OLL's founder, Shreyan Dagga, was the youngest entrepreneur to be featured on the show. He was just 18 when he presented OLL to the Sharks in Season 2 of Shark Tank India. And he started the company in 2020 when he was just 15 years old, and by the time he walked onto Shark Tank India's stage, his business was doing 2 crore rupees in annual revenue, and he was profitable too. The live sessions that OLL hosts online or offline in schools cover a wide variety of topics, pretty much any hobby, skill, or topic that you can think of except for math, science, and English. OLL basically wants to be the platform that your kid turns to when they have interests outside of those 3 core subjects. This atypical approach to education and Shreyan's confidence caught the attention of Piyush Bansal and Vinita Singh, who decided to invest 30 lakh rupees for 5% of the company at a valuation of 6 crore rupees. However, through appearances on various podcasts and a long LinkedIn post, Shreyan later revealed that it took the Sharks 6 months to even begin the due diligence process. While this speed might be acceptable for stagnant startups with no other options, for a rapidly growing company like OLL, this was a snail's pace. And so by the time the Sharks actually got around to his company, Shreyan had given up on waiting for them, and he had raised funds from other investors instead at a valuation 3 times higher than what the Sharks were asking for, 20 crore rupees. Today, OLL is being used by 20,000 kids on a daily basis. They're doing 12 crore rupees in annual revenue at a 50 crore rupee valuation, and they're still profitable too. Oh, and here's a fun little side note. After seeing the shortcomings of Shark Tank India, Shreyan Dagga actually decided to set up OLL's own business pitch show called Skill Titans in association with CNBC TV 18. And this show is focused on promoting and funding the startup dreams of young Indian entrepreneurs. And I actually recorded a podcast with Shreyan all the way back in 2021. If you want to check that out, you can click it up here. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.